The room froze the instant she said it. "I'd rather kiss my dog than kiss you," Sarah sneered, her words slicing through the laughter of our friends like a knife. Glasses clinked awkwardly in the background, but for me, the sound didn't register. It was as if time had slowed, the colors around me draining into dull shades of gray. My chest tightened, my stomach twisting with a nausea I couldn't name. I had known her for 12 years, 10 married, but I had never felt such raw venom from her, never imagined the person I loved could wield words like weapons. The crowd at our little dinner party laughed nervously, unsure whether it was a joke, an insult, or something far uglier. But I knew. He knew. I forced a smile, nodding politely, hiding the storm that was rising inside me. "Well," I said evenly, my voice quieter than I would have liked, "dogs are lovely companions." The room chuckled again, assuming I had taken her words in stride. They didn't know what I was planning. They didn't know the searing anger, the betrayal, the years of quiet trust that had been smashed into pieces with that single venomous sentence. After everyone had left, I stayed behind, pretending to clean up the mess on the table, my hands shaking slightly as I stacked the glasses. Sarah flopped onto the couch, scrolling through her phone with that same disinterest I had grown used to but never truly accepted. "You're being dramatic," she muttered without looking up. I didn't respond immediately. I waited, letting the silence stretch, feeling the weight of every moment we had ever shared. I remembered our first apartment, how we had painted the walls together, laughing as paint splashed everywhere. I remembered the nights we stayed up, talking until the stars faded into the dawn, dreaming of a life we were supposed to build together. And now this finally spoke. "Why, Sarah?" She glanced at me, eyebrow raised. "Why what? Why would you say that? Why humiliate me like that in front of everyone?" My voice cracked slightly, betraying the anger I was trying to conceal. She shrugged, flicking her hair over her shoulder. "I was bored." "You're boring." Something inside me shattered. Not because she called me boring, hurtful as it was, but because the woman I had devoted myself to for over a decade could look at me like I was nothing. Stranger. Placeholder. I swallowed hard, trying to steady my voice. "Bored, huh? Issy. That explains a lot." Her eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" I took a deep breath. "It means I finally understand why things have felt off lately. Why there's been distance. Why you've been smiling at your phone when you think I'm not looking." Her face froze. I saw a flicker of panic, a flash of guilt, or was it fear? And suddenly I knew I had been right all along. I had ignored the signs for months. The late nights, the sudden business trips, the whispered conversations that stopped when I entered the room. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, voice tight. I stepped closer, my hands trembling, not from fear but from the adrenaline of rage and heartbreak. "Don't lie to me, Sarah. I've seen the messages. I've seen everything. You think I don't notice, but I do. I always notice." She laughed nervously, a sound that made my stomach twist even more. "Messages? What messages?" "Don't play dumb," I snapped. "You've been seeing someone else. Someone outside our marriage. Am I wrong?" Her face went pale, and for the first time she didn't have an answer. She just looked down at her hands, twisting her phone like a lifeline she couldn't hold on to. I felt a strange mixture of anger and sorrow. Part of me wanted to yell, scream, throw things. But another part, the part that still loved her, wanted to understand, to make sense of a betrayal that had blindsided me. "Who?" I asked softly, my voice now calm but cutting like a blade. She hesitated, then whispered a name that made my heart clench. "Daniel." "Daniel. My friend. My colleague. The man I had trusted, invited into my home, shared laughs and drinks with. He had been right there, under my nose, stealing the woman I loved." I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there, feeling my world collapse. And then, the part of me that had been hurting in silence for months, the part of me that had suspected but couldn't bear to believe it, it took control. "Pack your things," I said quietly. "What? Pack my things? Are you serious?" Her voice rose, trembling with indignation. "Yes, Tonight. I'm done living a lie. She stared at me, disbelief etched into every line of her face. After everything. You can't just. I can, I interrupted. Because you've already decided that everything between us means nothing. You've humiliated me, betrayed me, and laughed at our vows. And you're lucky I'm not screaming at you right now, because I'm still capable of dignity. Her eyes filled with tears now, not from remorse but from shock. She hadn't expected this calm, collected response. She thought my world would crumble, that I would beg, that I would plead for her forgiveness. But I had realized something in the past few hours, something I had ignored for far too long. Love doesn't protect you from betrayal, and neither does anger. But dignity protects your soul. I'll call a cab, I added, already moving toward the hallway. Take whatever you want. You're leaving my house tonight. She sank into the couch, shaking her head. You don't mean this. Can't. I do, I said firmly. I've been waiting for the moment I could finally let go without losing myself. And this is it. The rest of the night was a blur. She packed in silence while I stood there watching, feeling the hollow ache of a life that had just ended. When the cab arrived, she looked at me one last time, eyes pleading, searching for something that no longer existed between us. I nodded once, a gesture of finality, and closed the door behind her. The echo of the click lingered in the empty apartment like the ghost of everything I had loved and lost. I sat down on the couch, staring at the space where she had laughed, where we had argued, where we had lived. And for the first time in years, I allowed myself to feel the full weight of the pain. Not just the betrayal but the loss of the life I had imagined, the dreams that would never come true. Hours later, I found myself in the bedroom, holding a small box. Inside were letters she had written me over the years, photos and little mementos. I stared at them, remembering the person I had fallen in love with, the person who had promised to be my partner in all things. And then I did something I hadn't expected. I took out my phone and sent a single message to Daniel. You have something that doesn't belong to you. I hope it's worth the ruins you've left behind. No reply came. It didn't matter. The damage had been done. And somehow that gave me a strange sense of closure. In the weeks that followed, I moved through the motions of life with heavy steps, each day a reminder of the void she had left. Friends reached out, offering comfort, but none could understand the depth of the wound. Because this wasn't just heartbreak, it was the unraveling of trust, the betrayal of the soul, the shattering of a world I thought was safe. But slowly, in the quiet moments, I began to heal. I found solace in small things. The sunlight filtering through the kitchen window, the soft hum of my old record player, the simple act of making coffee in the morning. And one evening, standing on my balcony, I realized something profound. She had taken part of my life with her, yes. But she had not taken me. She had not taken my strength, my dignity, or my capacity to love again. I didn't know if I would ever forgive her. I didn't know if I could look at her without remembering the venom in her words. But I did know one thing: I would survive. And one day, I would find a life untouched by betrayal, one built on trust, respect, and true love. And as for Sarah, she was gone. Out of my life. Out of my home. And finally, in that painful, necessary way, she was gone from my heart too.